A quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, the Kilmarnock Museum. If you're new to Kilmarnock or maybe even a longtime resident, you can learn a lot by visiting the Kilmarnock Museum. Several prominent families were key to the town's development, and their stories are told at the Kilmarnock Museum. Visitors are always welcome at the Kilmarnock Museum, 76 North Main Street in Kilmarnock. When we think of the American Revolution, we often think of one united group of colonists throwing off the yoke of British tyranny and winning their independence. But Americans weren't completely united in that cause. Some Americans had no desire to be independent of England. Others saw no reason to fight a war they didn't think benefited them. And there were a lot of those Americans in Northumberland County, Virginia, as the hostilities dragged on. When men were asked to take up arms, many citizens of the Northern Neck answered the call, but some refused, and it began slowly. In 1776, Landon Carter of Richmond County heard a report of a small farmer who refused to lend a musket to help defend the riverside house of the local gentry against enemy raiders, saying he thought it would be better if the mansions were destroyed. Then, in 1777, 19 Westmoreland County men refused to perform militia duty, and the next year a larger group was charged with opposing any attempt to march them out of the state on military duty.
They mentioned in an article that when they mentioned the Tea Party, the Boston Tea Party, there were people locally who commented, well, we don't drink tea anyway, so we don't really care. But I don't think they liked the fact that they were being forced to serve in an army where maybe they weren't sure exactly what the outcome was going to be or even what the objective was. Plus they were being led by officers who were gentlemen who were wealthy but had no military training, and they didn't know if they were going to lead them into victory or disaster. I think somebody put it very well when they said it was a rich man's war and a poor man's fight.
As the war dragged on, opposition grew. With a dwindling number of volunteers, Virginia instituted a draft in 1777, but recruiting efforts fell short. Governor Thomas Jefferson, on July 18th, required that each county form divisions of 15 militiamen, from which one man would be drawn to serve until the end of 1781, known as 18-month men. Nowhere was the gulf between the rich planter class that was driving the revolution and poor whites and blacks who felt they had no stake in the conflict greater than in Northumberland County. On September 15, 1780, there was an armed confrontation at the courthouse in Heathsville between militia officers and a group of citizens who refused to be drafted. In the melee that followed, one man was killed and several others were wounded. Thomas Gaskins, the county lieutenant, reported to Governor Jefferson that the entire county was inflamed. A most criminal and unlawful combination had used force and threats to disturb the peace of this commonwealth and murder, wound, or annoy many of the good people thereof. As a result of the riot, 41 men were court-martialed and sentenced to serve in the Continental Army until the end of the war. The victory at Yorktown in 1781 eventually brought unity as a new nation sought to establish a form of government that was unique in history and would eventually influence the world.